Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful day with us on Live with Lloyd, where the joy of numerology is the joy of learning and enlightenment. And I mean that sincerely. As you see on the screen, I have my guest that'll be coming up in a moment, Professor Melanie. And just to give you a little background, she has her own YouTube channel called The Spirit Doula. Okay, and actually, she's worked as a college professor, now using her unique teaching methods and experience to teach the subjects, which is her passion about, of course, spirituality. She has two bachelor's degrees in Africana Studies, Spanish from Rutgers University, a master's degree in education in the field of linguistics, and even doctoral credits in linguistics, also a passion for math, biology, quantum physics as it relates to that. And I see she was under the tutelage of the famous historian Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. For those that don't know who he is, I think you need to do your research. She's currently a teacher, healer, guide to many on their spiritual journey. She uses her spiritual gifts to guide and support, as well as her practical way of teaching to disseminate this information for all of us. And before I bring on, let me do the cosmic forecast for today. As you know, here we go. So today is Wednesday. It is the 27th of April. So we're going into the home stretch of this month. The sun is in Taurus. The moon moves into Aries at 12:10 this afternoon. It's a one universal month, five universal week, a one universal day. So this is the kind of day where actions speak much louder than just words. Those under the signs of Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, Aries, are likely to do well and numerically according to the person's birthday. If you were born on the 1st or the 9th, the 10th or the 18th, the 19th, 27th, and 28th of any month, this is also a very important day for you as well. All right. So without further ado, let me get this out the way. And I want to thank everybody for all, and in fact, for all the nice comments that you send to all my guests and whatnot. I think is very encouraging. Is very encouraging for me, and it lets you know. Here I am. Hi, everybody. All righty. So I'm about to bring Professor Melanie on in just a moment. But again, it's just a special thanks to all of you who take the time to tune in. Oh, I keep forgetting. On Live with Lloyd, please like, if you really like it, please share if you really feel it, and please subscribe. I notice people get caught up on these numbers. That's not the numbers I work from. I work for more esoteric side of numbers. Uh, if I've reached about 10 people and raised their consciousness, to me, I've done my job because things tend to spread like, when you throw a rock in the middle of a pond and then the ripple effects finally come to the shore. So that's how I think. So it's nice to have these volumes of tens of thousands, all that stuff. I've got a couple of thousand, and let me know. Let me tell you, I am greatly, greatly appreciative. In the meantime, though, Professor Melanie, how are you?
Peace. I'm doing good. How are you?
Mm, fine, fine, thank you. Now, before we start, what is doula?
Okay. So the term doula is traditionally used for women who or men who help a woman through the pregnancy process. So once she conceives, through the pregnancy process, and then afterwards. Okay, and they're helping her with the challenges, the everyday aspects of it, getting her over humps. Giving her a lot of information, that sort
Mhm.
of thing. So that's what a doula does traditionally.
Would that be the same in the South and the Caribbean that they would call a midwife? It doesn't sound like, and yet it sounds similar. Does that
It's a
make
little
sense?
different, a little different because the midwife traditionally is the one that actually births the baby. The doula is there the whole entire time, and then she's also there afterwards. So she's there as a support to the woman.
Well, here's my thing. With
Hmm.
your strong educational background, degrees in Africana studies,
Hmm.
uh, also Spanish too.
Yes.
Okay. Hola. Okay.
Hola.
Um, Oh, that's all I know. Don't worry. Don't worry.
That's all you know.
No, I know a little bit more, but we will complicate life up in here. Okay. And then you have a master's degree in linguistics.
Mhm.
With you would think with a professional kind of educational background that this would be a step apart from spiritual work. Does that make sense?
Exactly. However, I'm not a medical doula, so I don't work with pregnant women specifically. So,
Okay.
my name, the Spirit Doula, is what I do, and that's the name that was given to me in a meditation. And so what I do is my that's my job, my mission work is to help people that are newly awakened to who they are spiritually. They're
Hmm.
just coming out of institutions or maybe not institutions, and they're in this world of all this information and they don't know what to do, where to start, how to move through it. And my job is to help guide them through the process, give them a strong foundation so that they can eventually, get on their path to their soul mission work.
Well, I'm going to ask probably a question asked of you 1,000 times. How did you go there and then probably get into this area? Was it just meditation or some other calling? Because you also have an apothecary under Zoe Centrals. We'll talk about that up the road too, where you
Yeah,
do crystals and herbs and something so unacademic, so to speak.
I know, I know. Yes, so I kind of always been doing this, and it wasn't until I think maybe 2015 I really realized that in my college classes, 15 minutes before class, I would start the class just talking to my students and just about life. And then afterwards, every class, they would come to me and it was never about the subject. It was always about what they were going through in their life. And I was found myself guiding them and counseling them. And so this is, during the process of me becoming aware of who I am spiritually and me doing a lot of the work myself, I
Hmm.
didn't have support. I didn't know anybody. YouTube wasn't what it is now. If you wanted to find out information spiritually, you had to like go in the library, look in books. So I was really struggling with, becoming aware of who I was by myself. I was
Hmm.
hearing things, experiencing things, and nobody around me was going through the same thing. And so, as I was going through this process, I started receiving information through meditations or just randomly that one day you're going to help people, you're going to teach people this stuff. And I was
Hmm.
just like,
Hmm.
okay, I don't know how that's going to happen. I'm a college professor. Am I going to teach a class at the university on this? So I really didn't know until I was told, like, it's time. Now it's time to, begin this process.
Well, you know what's interesting is that I have taught numerology
Mhm.
at a college here in New York City.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was a shock. It all depended on what administration came in, what
Exactly.
administration left.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, had you, it says, as a college professor going this route, the spiritual route, were you able to have the experience of actually teaching in a college environment, education
No,
setting like that?
absolutely not, because this is not a subject, right? This is not a subject. So, what department would it be under? Would it be under theology? Would it be under science? Where would it fall under? So
Hmm.
it's something that I couldn't specifically teach.
Now, mine was under adult education at the college,
Oh, okay, okay.
right? So
Yes.
that's where it was. And I did it for a couple of years at
Wow,
City
wow,
College, yes.
wow.
So that's why I was saying there's normally resistance. It all depends on the administration that came in. I had one administration that was extremely receptive, very, very open to
Yes,
teaching a more esoteric side of numbers. So I
right.
wondered if you had had that same experience too, because it
No,
is.
not at the school, that's what they were not open at
I had
all.
to do a curriculum and all that other stuff, as you got to prepare as a
Right,
professor in school. But
right.
I think that is so interesting. And so, have there been any, shall we say, challenges to date with what you do? Does that make sense? Or how you
Yeah,
found the journey so far?
there were challenges in the beginning, especially because, here I am leaving a career that I built. I struggled to get this career in this specific field. I was the only person that looked like me in this field.
Hmm.
Um, it was very challenging to walk away from it. And in fact, my family was, disappointed. People thought I was crazy. I'm making six figures easily, as a college professor. I had written a textbook. I was doing everything to get to the level of full professorship, right?
So something
Um,
had to be wrong with you to go down that route, I take it, right?
everybody thought I was crazy. Yes, yes,
I faced
absolutely.
that too.
That was the first major challenge. I think once I got over that challenge, my daughters were very receptive to it. They were just like they're used to the flow of our lives,
Mhm,
um,
mhm,
and then the challenge of speaking on YouTube in this fashion, right? Because
mhm,
I could speak, give me a lecture hall with hundreds of students, I'm good. Because I know that they're coming to see me. They paid this class, this
mhm.
tuition. They don't have a choice. I'm their professor, right? But now I have to speak in front of people that I don't know, and I have to speak about topics that not everyone may agree on. And so that was another hurdle of mine. I was very nervous, and spirit was just like, you can do it. You have to do it. So just do it. And I just did.
So now how long have you been from that academic setting to teaching in, of course, a large auditorium?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to, like, I'm talking over, I have no idea who's looking, who's
Right.
watching.
Right.
And for the
Exactly.
first couple of months, I didn't even want to look at myself. And I says, no, Lord, you got to focus
Right. Right.
on
Right.
getting the information to the viewers. Once I got
Yeah.
past that, I feel pretty comfortable. So, and things have
Yeah.
been very supportive, but that's only because I've had very great guests. So
Right.
that has made it very interesting. So, how long have you had your YouTube channel now?
I started my YouTube channel in 2019.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes.
So, how's it been so far?
It's been good. I would say the first month I had like a handful of subscribers. I remember there being like 8 subscribers for the longest time. And I remember my first few subscribers, right? And my daughters was like, "Mommy, do you want us to create fake accounts and then subscribe to your channel?" And I said, "No, this has to be organic. Spirit said this is what I'm supposed to do, so
Mhm.
this is what I have to do." So I remember it being like that. And I would get on every day and I would receive a message in meditation and I would just, share the message that I had or the teaching or the lesson that I had to share in the beginning. But I
But
remember it being a very small channel.
well, it's like when I first started, it was like about under 10, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and then especially if you're looking at other channels where they got 614,000
I
viewers,
know, right?
3 million, I said like, whoa.
Right.
But then again, my focus was, don't focus on those numbers,
Right.
but focus on the esoteric side of
That's right.
numerology and what it does.
That's right.
So it has grown. It's now about 4,000. I listen, I'm very
Awesome.
appreciative. That
Yeah.
beats the blanket what I had about 10, but then again, even to this moment, so I still forget to say share, subscribe, like. Do you do that?
Sometimes I do in the beginning. If I'm talking about a topic that I know we may have some challenges, I'll say, listen, share this video because we don't know if it's going to be taken down by YouTube.
What has been in your experience the most challenging topic to discuss on your channel?
The first most challenging topic, once I got over this, I was okay. But I had to do a topic, it was in 2020, and it was entitled Deceptors. And I
Hmm.
was so nervous. I got this message and I was so nervous to talk about it because it was kind of controversial. And I had to call out people, not specific by their names, but I was just talking about those who are purposely deceiving the spiritual community. And so I had to speak on that, and it was a very powerful message. And I was so nervous, almost to tears. Like I just didn't want to do it. How am I going to do this? That was the first most challenging video that I had to do.
It's interesting. But what made it challenging when you are exposing deceivers? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. I think because of the energy behind it, because I felt there was a very, I knew that I was channeling very powerful energy to get this message through. So it was not necessarily Melanie's message, Melanie's teaching, right? This wasn't
Hmm.
necessarily my style of teaching. It was a
Hmm.
message that I was pulling universally that I had to share. And so it was very hard. There was some challenging things I had to say to people. Um, People need to, get it together. It's no longer time to play. So it was a lot of that in that message, and that's why it was challenging. Once I did that video, I was good after that.
But that's what has always been a question to me of hearing sometimes people's websites being taken advantage of or
Mm,
used to deceive people, to cheat people out of money. And my attitude
exactly.
now, I know it's going to sound simplistic. Don't they have something else better to do?
That
No.
is what they have to do. Yeah. That is their job, that is their job to deceive people, to get people off their track. Everyone knows that. Well, not everyone, for the most part, like there's been a huge not awakening, I don't like using that word, but awareness that's happening,
Hmm.
okay?
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
spoke on this in one of my earlier videos, and I said it's going to become so much so that people are going to try to take financial advantage of this. And so a lot of people are, on their channels and talking a lot of nonsense or regurgitating information that
Hmm.
is not true. And now you
Hmm.
have people that are truly in their hearts wanting to be on a spiritual path, and they're confused.
Well, if people have taken advantage, especially of, let's say, for example, you or I,
Mhm.
doesn't that put a challenge that people who don't know they're scammers will then maybe come to you or come to me? And I'm saying, like, yo,
And
I
they do.
don't know nothing about this. Okay.
And
What are you
they
talking about?
do. Yeah, they
Really?
do. I used to do readings and people will come to me and say, "I went to such and such or so," and they would tell the names and everything, and they would ask for my help, and I would say, "Listen, you need to go back to them. They told you to do this," you know? And so that was one of the reasons why, like, I started, my school, and I started teaching, more so on the foundation of spirituality, because I believe that once you have a strong foundation, then people can come to you and try to distract you, and it just won't work. You'll be able to tap into yourself, and you'll know the difference of someone who's trying to deceive you versus someone who's actually telling you truth.
Well, I tell you, being a newbie in this way, in this media, this platform,
Mhm.
I'm assuming that everybody is, straight up, no
I
problem.
know, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But evidently people are saying, like, I've been approached,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And I've been approached by someone that I know
Mhm.
that, and I said, that don't sound like them.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just responded, my curiosity, I responded. And then I asked them a test question. You know how sometimes
Yeah.
when you're trying to get your money at the bank, you need a test question?
That's right.
Okay. And they didn't pass the test. So I knew
Right.
it wasn't them. So I will say this for those that are listening on my behalf, and I'm sure it's Professor Melanie. We do
Mhm.
not ask you for money. I will never,
Right.
ever, ever, ever leave something like, you better get a reading or it's going to be a wrap. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Little things like that.
Exactly.
I mean, scare
Right.
persons because that's part of
That's
probably what
right.
they play on people's things. It's like
That's right.
there used to be probably still is like, how do you have these palm reader shops where you go and you get a reading for
Yes, yes,
$5, and
yes,
then as they're doing it, they will try to pick out something that gets a rise out of you. Well, I
yes.
see your love falling apart. But
Right.
to resolve it, you need to bring 5 candles,
Exactly.
bills,
It was
and
this
I
whole
mean,
ritual.
people are scammed out of
Yes,
thousands of dollars,
yes,
literally
yes.
thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying, and I'm speaking for myself and for Melanie too, and anybody that's been on my show,
Right.
you have to just be very discerning.
Mhm.
Have to. My guests do not do this. I'm telling you, all my guests are official. I mean,
Mhm.
I met them in my own way through my
Right, right, right.
feelings or whatever the case is. Like I saw you on the channel, and
Right.
but I kind of know because I've been doing this for a very, very long time.
Yes.
And what I'll do is I'll promote somebody's Cash App where they don't have to do that. But none of them, including myself, you will never ever get a live from Lloyd, learn from Lloyd Strayhorn. I don't know what other name I might have, numbers in you.
Right.
No, I will never ask you for money. Please,
Mhm.
this is very, very important. So it's almost like you got to put people on notice that, like, yo, this is a fake, right? No?
Sometimes I don't. My thing is I don't wanna give that energy. So what I do instead is I'm telling people like, "Listen, this is why you have to connect to you. This is why you have to do your spiritual work, because you will recognize what resonates with you as truth versus untruth." Okay? And when you feel that something's not resonating with you, that is your opportunity to say, "Wait a minute, I don't know about this." And you can walk away or you can question that person like you said you did.
Yeah, well, my attitude is you either think for yourself or somebody will do your thinking for you.
Listen, exactly.
That's all I'm
Exactly.
saying, from a 7 to a
Exactly.
7, okay? That's what we
Absolutely.
do.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
Once you talked about also ancestors. Now,
Mhm.
some people think, oh, ancestors is very, very kind of like, yeah, but we all come from somewhere.
Right,
Our parents, their parents, their parents, their parents, their parents.
right.
And in fact, I did a piece on ancestral numbers.
Mm,
We come from tens of thousands of people that got us in this present moment. So
right.
people just think it's just you or
Mhm,
just me,
mhm.
not understanding that my parents and their parents and their parents,
That's
parents,
right.
parents, parents.
That's
So
right.
even though you may say, well, I only came out of a single household, excuse
Right.
me, it still took two people to hook it
That's
up.
right. That's
Okay.
right. That's
So
right.
so to get it, so how what's your response to ancestors? How do you explain to them so they really understand it's not just a word that we throw around in the esoteric community, if that makes sense?
So your ancestors are the most important part of your spirit team outside of your higher self. So there's you, there's your higher self, and then there's your ancestors that are your blood relatives. And they have a vested interest in you being on your spiritual path and doing your spiritual work. And so they are the ones that are the closest to you. They are working for you, they're working with you, they're helping you. They're not something, there's this energy of we have to worship our ancestors, and that's ridiculous. The same spirit or energy they had when you knew them, or even if you didn't know them on this plane, is the same energy they have on, let's say the spiritual realm. Okay. And
Hmm.
so they really want to support you. And as they're supporting you, what a lot of people don't realize is that you are actually helping them. They also have a job, they also have work to do. So it goes both ways. You work as peers, but again, they have a very important interest in making sure that you are on your path. You stay on your path and you get ultimately to your soul mission and complete that.
Now that's interesting to me because what about those that says, well, how do I know my ancestors are around? Do I feel them? They're not knocking on my door. I don't hear no voices. How do you explain it to them like that? And then how
Um,
do we in turn that because I hadn't heard it like that before, that by us doing what we're doing, we're helping our ancestors.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, your ancestors are always speaking with you. Children know, the young children know. This is why children will go off in the corner. They'll talk to themselves. They'll play. They'll get their toys and play, and their toys will have energy. Children will even take toys into the bathtub in the car with them because those are real energies, and they are taking the ancestors that they are communicating with. They're putting them into their toys, and they're then communicating with those toys. The other thing is that we forget that. So once about 5 years old, 8 years old, we kind of lose that because children are told, "Stop talking to yourself. Who are you talking to?" And they'll say, "Oh, grandma," they'll say it. But we will,
Yes.
or adults will say, "What's wrong with you? Something's wrong with you," right? And so we forget that. But however, your ancestors are always with you. They're always communicating with you. If you can't hear them, you may see, you may smell through numbers, number synchronicities,
Hmm.
butterflies, through birds. There's so many different ways where your ancestors are trying to communicate with you through music. You may hear their name, you may see their name, okay? And so this is their way of saying, "Hey, I'm trying to get your attention. Let's have a conversation."
Now, how do we help them in return, though?
It depends. Sometimes there's a truth that when people have a physical death, we're taught that they go to heaven, right?
Hmm.
Um, And now there's a term that's used as transition, right? They
Yeah,
transition and they
that's a
go
popular
wherever.
term now. Yeah,
Right.
transition.
Sometimes people are stuck. There's a stuck place that people go to. There was a movie called The Sixth Sense. Do you remember that
I
movie?
saw that. Excellent, excellent.
Yes. Very true, because there are some spirits that don't realize that they haven't had a physical death, and so sometimes they need your help as their descendant or relative to help them get to where they need to get to. Um, Also, ancestors may have jobs, right? So if it's my job to get you to a certain place, is in my interest, my best interest that you get there. Once you get there, then I've completed my task, I've completed my job. Therefore, you helped me with what it is I'm supposed to do.
No, but you know what? I've had that flashback to because Bruce Willis, I think, was the main character
Yes, he
in The
was.
Sixth Sense,
Uh-huh.
and how toward the end he didn't know he had transitioned. And it
Exactly.
was so deep how that was done. And I mean, that was like, whoa, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
So you don't know. Because, I've often thought that, like, okay, no one leaves this planet alive. That's a fact, 100%.
Facts.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm saying that, well, it can't be all that bad if we all got to go. Now,
Right.
some, through crimes or and things like that, that's one thing. I don't know how that is, but
Right.
in the main way, about got at least about 80 to 90% of the people go through either age, illnesses,
Mhm.
versus crimes of that nature.
Right.
The fact that we got to go that way, I was with my mother when she transitioned, I was with
Mhm.
my father when he transitioned,
Mhm.
both in the same hospital, years apart.
Right.
So it's just kind of interesting about
Mhm.
that. So we
Yeah.
all, well, no, but once I've noticed that, Lloyd, listen, you love sunny days and other like things you like, but one
Right.
day you got to clock out of here. No one leaves alive. So once
That's
I got
right.
that straight, I relaxed.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Question:
Yes.
Zoe Essentials, and
Yes.
also you got another academy too. You got a couple of websites we're gonna put up in a minute too.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about the first. In fact, you know what? Let me put the banner up so people can see what
Okay.
we are talking about. And this is how you get in touch with my guest, Professor uh, Melanie, the spirit doula. Her email, of course, but these websites now, so people can see. And also, you're on IG, but we'll talk about that too.
Okay.
So let's go with the first website, which is the spiritdoula.com. What's on that website?
So that's just my general website where you can get to the other sites. And that's where I have consultations. So I do consultations, spiritual consultations, and also soul mission consultations that's a service that I have for people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say Zoe Central. I looked at that one. Now, this last one is kind of long. Spiritual Ascension University. In fact, you
Mm.
had something back in March relating to something like this, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that? And are you going to have one moving forward?
So Spiritual Ascension University is this is like one of my major purposes. Okay. It's like the umbrella. And so this is what I was told years ago. I was told that you're going to have your own school. I mean, I was told this like back in the 90s, and I didn't know what it
Mm,
would be, exactly the type of school it would be. And around 2018, it came back up again. You're going to have your own school. No, 2017, I was in Colombia, and I was told you're going to have your own school. And I thought it would be like more like an educational type school,
mm-hmm,
not the spiritual school. And so initially I started with an academy, which was a year-long class where I was teaching spiritual foundation, basics. And then I started adding more classes. I realized that I have more things to teach at a deeper level. So I can teach on YouTube, I can give information, which I do a lot of. However, there's a difference when you're in a classroom, when I can present slides, when there's an interaction between me and the students, we get to
mm-hmm,
learn at a deeper level. And so
mm-hmm.
this is something that was developing. And in 2020, Spirit said, this is the name of your school. This is what it's going to be called, and outlined what it would be. So it's still evolving, and I'm excited for its future. Let's just say that.
So now, because I think there was a flyer I saw on your site that
Mm,
you talked about kind of like a workshop or something of that nature.
yes, I did a soul mission workshop.
Can you tell us about that? And are
Sure.
you going to have one again?
Well, I have it available so people can register and take the class. So it's still available through the website Spiritual Ascension University. And so basically, what I realize is that we're all here on let me say this, spiritual beings are here on a mission. We have work to do here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if this were 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, when you were born, either the shaman would have visited your parents or your parents would have taken you to the local shaman and they would have said, this is what this child is here to do. Okay. They're here to be a farmer or a teacher. And your whole education would have been surrounding that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Children come in here knowing what they're supposed to do, but once they hit kindergarten, they're told these are the here are coloring pages. These are the things you can be. You can be a doctor, you can be a nurse, you can be a firefighter. There's like 5 different careers, right? And then out of these, the best one is the doctor, right? Be a doctor, be a lawyer. And so we have this idea that this is the best that I can be. So a lot of children go to school thinking I need to be a doctor, I need to be a lawyer. When in reality, they just want to cut grass, right? Or they
Yeah,
just want to
yeah,
do nails, you know?
yeah.
They
Keep it
want to sew
simple.
clothes. They don't want to do that, but they think that this is success. And so they're in this construct. And what happens in their adult life is now they're frustrated. They hate their jobs, even if it's paying well, and they don't know, they feel like I'm here for a reason but I don't know what it is. And so what I basically did in that workshop is I said, this is what I do, this is the, the template that spirit gave me to
Mm-hmm.
determine what your soul mission is. And I taught how to take your natal chart, how to take your numerological chart, and how to break it down and find what that is in a very easy to understand way.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna have one again, so for people who missed this
So
one.
I don't know if I'm gonna do another live one because it is pre-recorded, so you can take the class again. But I don't know if I'm prompted to do another one. Maybe I'll do another one in the future. But it
Well,
is on demand.
I was gonna say, where on this banner can they do that to get the pre-recorded?
So they go to spiritualascensionuniversity.com.
Mm-hmm.
Once they go to that website, they will see the Soul Mission Workshop, and they can click on there and register and watch it on demand.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let me say this too, to give the rest of the information. Also, her IG page or Instagram is the underscore spirit underscore doula. All
Okay.
right. So I get on my soapbox when it comes to Cash App. Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
because it's like people, for example, you're the first I know that's doing the dual thing for academic and yet transition over into the spiritual side of nature. Because normally in the academic community with degrees all up and down the wall, they're not open to this at all.
Right, I know. You're right. You're right.
So still in all, she has 2 beautiful daughters. Okay.
3.
So let's oh, you got 3?
I have 3. Mhm.
I thought you had 2. Well, they grow fast nowadays, okay?
They
Anyway.
do, they do.
So anyway, you'll need to give some money to Melanie TSD, and the TSD band, the Spirit Doula. $ Melanie MELANIE TSD. Please, show love. Don't work because she told you she was a teacher, a professor, making all this, that, and the other. You know what struck me?
What?
You were tutored by you were under the tutelage of Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. Do people
Yes.
know who he is?
Some people do. A lot of people don't realize who he is.
I do. We lectured together in Houston, Texas, at the Shrine of the
Really?
Black Madonna. Yes, and he
Wow.
autographed the book up in my collection.
Wow.
So when
Wow.
I saw his, see, if people got to do the research,
Mhm.
like you like to
Yes.
research and read too, okay,
Yes.
that must be a 7 trait. But I'm saying that I had this very unique experience invited by Dr. Reverend Klieg, who founded the Shrine of the Black Madonna in
Okay.
Boston and uh, Texas and whatnot. And so
Mhm.
I was invited there, and it was an honor to be right beside Dr.
Yes.
Ivan Van
Yes.
Sertima. I mean,
Yes.
it's like, and so when I saw that, I said, wow, that must have,
Yes.
I know it was an experience for me. So,
Yes.
Professor Melanie and I are going down memory lane for a half a second. Okay? But if people understood the power of this historian, and
Mm,
what's interesting,
mm.
astrologically, almost all of the great African American or Black historians are Capricorns. Dr. Dia, a Capricorn. Dr.
Mm,
John Hope Franklin, a Capricorn.
right.
Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, a Capricorn.
Yes, yes,
Leonard Jeffries, a Capricorn.
yes.
Dr. Ben Yekinen, a Capricorn.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it's like, but see, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn that governs history and
Yes,
causes time. So
yes,
maybe that's it. And John Henry Clark, I can't leave him out. A Capricorn.
yes, yes,
You
yes.
know, all Capricorns. I'm saying, what is up with the Capricorn? I know you can. Have you ever looked at that astrologically?
I did. I have a Capricorn rising sign, so my first house is Capricorn.
Venus is in Capricorn,
Wow.
and I've
Yeah.
gone to Capricorn nations such as Egypt,
Mm.
India, China, all governed by Capricorn, the sign of
Wow.
Capricorn.
Wow.
So anyway, I got sidetracked there a second.
It's all good. It's all good.
So now moving forward, where do you see yourself going now that you also gone into this avenue? Because you're wearing two hats now, academic
Yeah,
and spiritual.
right. They are one and the same for me now. So I teach spirituality in a very academic way. I don't think you should not do it. I always tell when I even when I go live on YouTube, I say, listen, get out your pens and papers. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to give you some information. I want you to take notes because I want you to study this. I want you to understand this for yourself so that you can go out and teach others, right? So I'm not trying to foster, people that are just following me blindly. I want people to learn this information, challenge their own brains, challenge this construct that they're in, and then share it with other people. So I approach spirituality still from the same perspective. When I'm teaching my students, they get a curriculum, okay? They get a course page,
Hmm.
they have homework every week. It's the same type of energy that I'm teaching them with. So I don't
Okay.
separate the two. I do the
So,
research, I pull out books, I tell, I'm on YouTube and I'm like, get this book, read this part. I share this information because I think that um, spirituality tends to be this, this woo-hoo, spacey thing, and nobody can really get a grasp of it. And I always say, listen, science and spirituality are going to always support each other. Let's get the science on this. Let's back this up with true knowledge, true
yeah,
information.
yeah.
That I use the word back upable. It's back upable, whatever we're talking about spiritually. And it
Well,
is.
that's interesting because I have to explain that astrology and numerology are ancient African sciences. They are.
Yes, science, yes.
So, do people question well what you do and throw up the piece about the belief, or does this go against you're academically trained, now you're doing this? Aren't your Isn't there a conflict between you and religion, or do people ever take you through that?
No, I've never I've had a couple of people that have tried to challenge me, but I would say truth is truth, and you can't challenge truth, and you can't debate with it, and I'm not going to debate with what I know is truth.
And besides, you don't look like the one. Okay.
I'm not the one. I'm not the one.
um this person here says, hit the like button, everybody. Professor Melanie is here. Do you know this person?
Thank you, Tasha. I think it's one of my students, Tasha. Yes.
Good, good, good. Thank you, Tasha.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tasha.
I'm thinking, evidently there's somebody else who knows you too. Angel Army,
Yes.
Professor Melanie.
Yes, another student. So
Okay.
my students know me as Professor Melanie, and everyone that's on YouTube, if students or not, maybe they just watch it, they'll know me. They know me as a spirit doula. Mhm.
Well, I know you got a follow up from Miss Mac that says Professor Melanie is awesome,
Thank you.
powerful woman. Okay, that's the reason why you're on the show. Okay, awesome. But
Thank you.
I think this, you know, some people are giving birthdays, but the one thing you made it clear when we discussed before coming on, you don't do
Mhm.
readings, which is what
Right.
these scammers are asking you to do. Give readings.
Yeah.
So, do you answer questions, or let
Mhm.
me ask you, what are the questions that people often ask you?
So I used to do readings, and I was told a year ago, stop doing the readings. Because the readings that I did was very involved. I was using my spiritual gifts to tap into people, and I was actually able to communicate with their spirit team and give them direct messages. But just because of the energy and a lot of other things, I was told to stop. So what I do is consultations, and so people have questions. People have questions. about spirituality, about their lives, they're going through things, what was happening to me, that sort of thing. And so I was trying my best to do Q&As at the end of my YouTube lives, but I just couldn't grab everyone. So I do consultations where people come on and they ask, a lot of people are a lot of people come and they think that they're crazy or they're the only ones experiencing this, whatever it is they're experiencing. How do I do this? I don't have any more friends, or where do I start? How do I meditate? So there's a lot of questions that any type of questions that people ask, and I'm available to answer them.
Of the questions, is there the most common? It's like when people come to me, it's
Mm,
either about relationships
mhm,
or money or both. So is there seem to be, because you do yours totally different?
mhm.
Is there a question like about how do I find myself?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Is there a common thread that you have with the people that come to you?
Yes, they come and they're confused. So a lot of people that come for consultations, they feel like, I don't think I'm doing the right thing. I'm not doing the spiritual thing right. I don't know if I'm on my path. Um, this person said to do it like this, and I'm not doing it like this. So am I doing something wrong? And I first have to say, pause. you know,
Mhm.
you're okay. You're okay. Let's work this out. So I get a lot of people who just have been, discouraged, or they're just confused. And they just need a lot of clarity and instruction and guidance. And so I do provide that.
That's interesting. Is there
Mhm.
been a question that has been kind of like difficult where you say, okay, where you scratch your head and say, I gotta go down the rabbit hole to really get to an answer that meets that person's to their satisfaction? Because I know, we
Yeah,
deal with the public, so people can be something else.
yes. Yes, and at first I was a little concerned. What if someone asks me a question that I don't know? And I've gotten some challenging questions, but I tap into my own spiritual gifts. Okay.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
me being claircognizant and being clairaudient, even when I'm live and someone asks a question and Melanie doesn't know, I'm able to tap into my higher self and I get that answer and I'm able to give them exactly what it is they need to know. So that's something that I do on my consultations as well.
That is so cool. I
It
like
is. It really is. It really is. Because sometimes I'm like,
it.
I don't know where that answer came from. you know?
No, because people can be very, very complicated. But
Yes.
then again, nowadays in this 21st century of fast living and superficiality, I hate to say it,
Yeah.
a lot of people come from very complex backgrounds now.
Yeah.
Family matters. It's
Yes.
not that traditional, mom and dad at the home, brothers and sisters.
Right.
Things now seem to be pretty much broken, not
Yes.
as it should be,
Mhm.
or things of that nature. So there is the word I noticed that the academics and other people use is the word trauma a lot. What's your
Yes.
definition of trauma as a professor?
Oh, very good. So, trauma essentially, there are different types of traumas, right? But
Good.
a trauma is something that happens to someone and is not of their causing. They didn't cause it. Something that happens that causes some sort of, when we're talking about spiritually, it causes challenges or blockages in chakra systems. It's something that they hold on to. They don't understand why. There's a confusion behind it. There may be guilt, there may be shame behind this thing. And because
Mhm.
they don't know how to deal with this thing, it is now stuck with them until it is, released or transmuted.
Now, you said something just before going into the definition. You said there are different kinds of trauma. What do you mean? I just thought trauma
Um,
was trauma.
yes. So it can be an acute trauma. There can be a
That
chronic
means
type of
very
trauma.
severe. When you say acute,
Yeah.
that means very severe.
Yeah. So let me give you some examples of a child. A child can have a trauma that is happening on a daily basis. So let's say they're being physically abused every day on a daily basis or a weekly, or something that's happening very often. Okay.
Mhm,
That's
mhm,
one type of trauma. And it's happening directly to them. Okay. Another
mhm,
type of trauma is maybe children have their parents are arguing all the time, right?
mhm,
Now the parents are not arguing with them. They're not part of this argument, right?
mhm,
Um, or maybe let's say they move around a lot. Okay. Now maybe the parent feels like we're moving to a better situation. There's something that's affecting the child, but the child doesn't get a chance to express themselves or say, "This is bothering me. I'm confused about this. I don't know what this is. This doesn't feel good." That's another trauma. And then you have traumas where it's something that happens one time, maybe a car accident, maybe a parent was murdered in front of the child, or something that
Hmm.
happened one time that has such a strong impact on that person. So those are the three types of traumas. And most people, I've spoken to people and they say, well, no, nothing has happened to me in my life. I have had no traumas, you know? And then when I speak to them and I say, well, you said your parents were in the military. You moved every 2 years. That's a trauma. There's an issue in your root chakra with stability. Okay. So there are
Mm.
different types of traumas. We tend to think that is something grand or big or, terrible, but it can be something as simple as that. You may have had wonderful parents, but maybe they argued all the time. And maybe they closed their door because they didn't want you to hear it. Well, we know children hear everything, they see everything.
Yeah, we don't think they hear it, but
You
they
don't
hear
think they
everything.
do. Right, right.
And does this explain why children, when say family, the mother father break up, that they say the children often feel guilty as if they were the cause of it?
It's another
That's
trauma
strange,
because
isn't it?
something happened they're confused about, and nobody's sitting with them saying, "Here, this is what happened, this is why. It has nothing to do with you." And you don't even know if before that breakup, there was other things that were going on that was never discussed with the child, okay? You will find that especially a lot of children that are here now, these are our ancestors coming back. They're very ancient, they're very knowing. So by you having a simple, basic conversation, they'll say, "Okay, mommy, okay, daddy," and they'll keep it moving. And now you haven't instilled or imparted that trauma in them that they have to deal with, the psychologist 20, 30 years down the line.
Well, I think it's amazing that as adults, oftentimes we go to a therapist or for counseling.
Mhm.
Almost everything in our adulthood stems back from the childhood.
Absolutely, and that's because as spiritual beings, we come back in this lifetime with these traumas from the past, our past lives. I always say you don't have to go into your past lives to find out what the trauma is. It's going to come back in the childhood because it has to be dealt with. It has to be healed in this lifetime, and that's where it's initiated in the childhood. Once you can deal with that, then if you can deal with it while the child is a child, it doesn't keep reoccurring in the as they are growing up. But if not, it's the same energy that keeps cycling throughout their life until they're dealt with.
What How do you help a person who is now being aware of this but don't know where to go or how to deal with everybody now says, well, if you want to learn something, just go to YouTube. And that
Right.
YouTube does have everything on there. But I think that those who are really acutely traumatized, as you
Yeah.
said earlier, it goes more than just watching a couple of YouTube episodes on
Right.
trauma.
Right.
So, how would you advise them? I
I
mean,
would
not that you're
advise.
a trauma expert, but I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a trauma expert, but I am able to help people deal with their traumas. This is still spiritual work that we're doing here, right? And so the traumas display themselves as emotional triggers. When you are emotionally triggered by something, that is a key that there is some sort of trauma. Okay.
Hmm.
So it can be something as simple as, someone left their shoe in the hallway and you're flipping out because a shoe is left in the hallway. And it's like, your kids are like, Mom, it's just a shoe. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And then maybe there's something behind that. Maybe the mother feels like she's out of control, that she doesn't have control in her own household. Well, why is that an issue? Well, maybe she didn't feel that she had control in her childhood. Well, what did you not have control of in your childhood? Or maybe there was some sort of abuse where she didn't have control over her body in her childhood. And now this is within her and it cycles through. And now as an adult, if something is out of place where she doesn't have control, it's really because of that trauma that happened in her childhood. And that's what we have to look at and work on healing.
You
So I always
know,
tell people, go ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, no, please
No, no.
finish.
So I always tell people when you have a trigger, pay attention to it and try to go back to see where it stems from.
That's very interesting. So, hopefully, people that are listening to this segment will think of anything that triggers them. It's not maybe necessarily like you said, the child, but something that happened to them in their childhood that affects how they react in their adulthood.
It's absolutely every single time. I haven't met someone that has some sort of a issue or emotional issue, psychological issue that is not stemmed from their childhood.
So, it in light of what you're saying, it behooves us, especially as adults or
Mhm,
parents,
mhm.
to be very, very careful, or at least more conscious in the raising of our children. Wouldn't you say?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Because here's the thing, you made an agreement as a spiritual being, you made an agreement before you came in here, certain things you had to experience. So if my parents were careful about the traumas that I went through, I wouldn't be here right now. Okay. This is part of my
Okay.
work.
Okay.
So parents have to do the best that they can to make sure that they are not, instilling any traumas or having conversations with their children to prevent these things from lasting much longer than they need to. Okay. So, but I tell parents, don't be hard on yourselves. Th- This is part of your child's experience. They chose you as a parent. They knew what they were signing up for.
Well, this is where I now, because you can tell how naive I am, because somebody, will abuse or kill a child, a
Mhm.
negligent parent or something like that, that would beat them or neglect them and starve them to death and whatnot. And I've been told, well, they chose their parents. And I'm saying, well, why? Well, to me,
Yeah.
in my thinking, why would a person, a spirit, come into the life of a person that would abuse them or take their lives? So there's some things I'm
Yeah.
still kind of trying to wrap around
Yeah.
my head, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because it makes
Yeah.
no sense to me. I know I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
that's all.
Right. There are different reasons for that. Maybe they were supposed to experience that in that particular lifetime. Okay. Um, why do any of us in our past lives go through things? I've had past lives that were very tragic, that ended up very tragically, but it was because I had to experience that energy. Okay.
Mhm,
We don't
mhm,
know if it. We have no real. Let me not say we have no real idea because we do have an idea, but we don't know that individual's path. Let me say that. Okay.
mhm,
People are, maybe you have a child that, you had a miscarriage and you're upset about that. Maybe that child was not meant to be physically here, but meant to be here with you on the spiritual realm. Okay. To
mhm,
connect you in that way as a
mhm.
relative, as an ancestor. So there are various reasons why these things happen. Um, I tell people don't stress yourself out about it. Don't try to figure everything out. It's not our jobs to try to figure all that out. That's someone else's lane. It is your job to be on your path and, do the work that you came here to do.
I like that because we tend to, as a result, go on a guilt trip. And it's bad
Yeah.
enough we were traumatized, then we're
Yeah.
going to take it to another level, carrying
Yeah.
guilt about it as well,
Yes.
knowing that we had no control over it as individuals. I want to put up
Absolutely.
your banner again because we're closing out. But before we close, you got to tell us about this Zoe Essentials.
Yes.
It's an
Yeah.
apothecary. For those that don't understand the word apothecary, what does that mean for them?
So apothecary traditionally is a place where you go for healing. Now is looked at as alternative, but this is a real healing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So at Zoe Essentials, we have products that heal you spiritually and physically. So we have herbs, crystals, smudges, baths, many various products, singing bowls. This is like the place you go to get all your spiritual tools. So yeah, that's Zoe Essentials.
Excuse me. What are smudges?
Okay, so smudges, very good question. So smudges is something that is a smoke. So basically, it's an herb or a sacred wood that you burn to smoke the area that you're in. And you do that to either clear low vibrational energy or to bring in high vibrational energy, or you do it to vibrate at a certain level, where you're high essentially to
Yeah.
communicate, spiritually.
Would that be these that wood, Palo Alto and sage? Is that in that
Yes,
realm of
those would
smudging?
be those would be in smudges. Yes. Palo Santo, I mean, sage would be the most popular one. Everyone is using sage. But I tell people be careful with sage because it clears out all energy. And so high vibrational energy is very respectful. And so it seeks your permission to come back in. Whereas low vibrational energy, I tell people you clear out the space and the low vibrational energy is waiting outside the window. Like when that smoke clears, I'm coming back in that space to harass you.
Now, I never heard it before. Sage clears out. all energy,
Yes,
positive and not positive? Is that
yes,
what you're
and it,
saying?
even on a scientific level, yes. So it clears out low vibrational energy in a space.
So how should sage be used properly? Because I never heard of that before.
So sage, you should always. I recommend people using sage with another smudge. My favorite would be Palo Santo
Mhm.
because Palo Santo is actually a sacred wood. Make sure you're getting the right Palo Santo. There's a lot of
You
pieces
mean
of
they're
wood.
fake Palo
Oh, there's
Santos
so
too? Are you
almost
serious?
all of it is fake. Yes.
Can't people be original nowadays or what?
No. Almost all of it is fake. So you wanna
Wow.
make sure you're getting it is either from Peru or Ecuador, okay? And, in Peru and Ecuador, they are harvesting them sustainably, and you wanna make sure that the people that are harvesting them are the indigenous people that is their sacred wood, because they're the ones who know how to harvest it correctly. But Palo Santo is a very high vibrational wood. It has its natural oils in it, and it basically allows high vibrational energy into the space. So I say use sage with the Palo Santo if you're gonna use both of them, or just use Palo Santo.
I was told by the African community here that one suggested that you boil sage, and I put boil, and when I came into the house, the whole house smelled of sage. Very interesting experience versus Burman. Have you
Absolutely.
ever boiled it?
You can absolutely boil it. Well, you know what your parents did, your grandparents did, right? Sage is like one of the ingredients in our chicken. When we make chicken soup or fried chicken, they use dried sage. So our ancestors knew the benefit of these herbs. It was not just for seasoning, they were using it for healing purposes, for spiritual purposes, for protection purposes.
You know, you are fascinating. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All I say is continue to work, my sister. So hold on. Let me put her on the screen exactly because I need to let people know. Please, for Professor Melanie, the Spirit Doula, her email is the Spirit Doula at gmail.com. She has three websites: the
Yes.
Spiritual Doula.com, Zoe Essentials. Now that's where. By the way, do if people go to your website non excuse me Zoe Essentials,
Mhm.
do they get the Palo Alto and the sage, the proper amount, the correct one?
Yes, the Palo Santo that we get is actually from a group, tribe in Peru called the Chulacanas people, and they actually go into the mountains and they harvest the Palo Santo themselves. So we also give back to that community as well. So whenever someone is purchasing Palo Santo from us, a portion of that money goes back to those people who have been disenfranchised in their own country.
So you're saying those is kind of in like 14th Street or other segments of my city where they're just selling Palo Altos and whatnot. That may
I
not
don't
be
know.
official.
I always tell people if you're getting herbs, if you're getting crystals, you have the right to ask where is this coming from. So on our website, we put the origin, where it's coming from, the country, the state where it's coming from. Okay, we even give a full description under it. And for the herbs, I add scholarly articles. So if you want to know how this herb works, there's a link there where it will take you to an article that gives you scientific backing
All that's
support.
on ZoeEssentials.com.
ZoeEssentials.com, yes.
No,
I
well,
don't just
that's my
sell, I
favorite website
educate.
right there, right there,
Yep,
the middle one. And
ZoeEssentials.com.
then the last one is Spiritual Ascension University. That's your I guess your third love, second love.
That is the first. So I say that Zoe Essentials is like the bookstore for Spiritual Ascension University. So that is
Mhm.
my school. That is I love teaching. Like that is my passion. I'm good at it. I know I'm a great teacher. And I just love the experience of teaching others, you know? And
Mhm.
so that is the main one, Spiritual Ascension University, that I have where students come there to learn various different topics.
Well, all I can say is this has been amazing. What I want you to do is, if you don't mind, hold on a second. I just want
Mhm.
to tell people a little announcement about what I do, which is, uh,
Okay.
by the way, everybody, I'm not sure about who my guest will be on Monday. They haven't responded, but if not, I'll be my own guest. Okay, I'm entitled to be my own
That's
guest.
right.
All right. Today and tomorrow, my class is on sale. It's an online course. As you see, it is remarkably inexpensive. You see the original price versus what you get it now for the price of less than lunch for one, much less two. Okay, so I think the sale ends tomorrow, but don't take no chances. You go to my website, lloyd-strayhorn.com. When you complete the online course, you get a certification. This is a copy of one student that sent it to me um, back in last year in 2021. So as you see, this is it here. Take advantage of it now. You get the certification. Also, although we are still got maybe 2, 3 days left for April, still sign up for my free monthly newsletter by going to lloyd-strayhorn.com. The May issue should be out. I'm running a little behind, so it's on me. I can't blame nobody, so I take responsibility. That's how I was raised.
Yeah.
But you will have it next week, though. I can tell you that. By this time next week, it will be sitting in your email box. Do leave your name. You can leave your birthday. That's optional. And I repeat, we do not sell your emails. I'm not down like that. I get so much email junk in my stuff. I can't even go through my own stuff. But so just in that. And for those into Clubhouse tomorrow, you can learn with Lloyd from with numerology, and it's every Thursday from 7 to 8. And I got to say this, Professor Melanie. Let me
Mhm.
get this straight. For me, when I taught in a college setting, I had my
Mhm.
curriculum, I had my blackboard, I had
Yeah.
other visuals,
Yeah.
right? So
Yes.
Clubhouse is actually a challenge for me because it's non-visual.
I know. I
And I'm
know.
trying to describe something that I'm so used to showing people in a video. But
Yes.
it makes me better at what I do. That's all I do.
Yes, absolutely.
So anyway, do you have one closing word? First of all, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank
Thank
you.
your three daughters for letting me grab an hour of mommy's time because I had kept you on a little longer. I says, Lloyd, be on your best behavior today.
It's all good. It's all good.
Right. So I want to thank you, and we'll have you back at some point. Whenever you're busy,
Yeah.
because you're busy, your schedule is probably just as busy as mine.
Yes.
But I thank you very, very much, and I'm sure based upon the tremendous response, and I just couldn't answer again. I don't know who's going to be on. I don't know who's going to be on Monday. I haven't gotten a confirmation, but if not, it's all good because I'll be right here. Plus, I've been wanting to answer a lot of people's birthdays. They've given time and all that stuff. It'll be an honor and a pleasure. This is what I do. And Professor
Yes.
Melanie and myself, and also Paris Williams and others of their likes, we do not solicit you for money for readings. If
Right.
they do, it is a fake.
Yes.
Am I right,
Yeah.
Professor?
You're
It's a
absolutely
fake.
right. You're absolutely
It's a
right.
fake. Yeah.
We do this
We
because from our hearts. Yeah.
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
Mhm.
and so like when people will come to me for a session, I don't come to them.
Mhm. Right, right, right.
That's how that works. So if I'm not coming to you and
That's right.
somebody's trying to misspell my name's been misspelled a couple of times, but fortunately, I haven't had that problem, and I pray I don't. But I
Right.
have talked to people that have had it, and it's
Yeah.
really a pain in the butt too. That's all.
It is. It is. It
And
is.
it's a ripoff to those that can afford to do it least, and that's what makes it so disingenuous.
That's what is so upsetting, and this is why I tell people, do the work, connect to you, meditate. This way you don't have to be in this mindset of I need someone else to tell me what I can't figure out myself. Just like you, Lloyd, I literally have I saw in your background your books and I was like, I have that book. Like I have your book Numbers in You. I've had it
Yeah,
for a while.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is you teaching, you're teaching others so that they can do it for themselves, so that
Mhm.
they're not dependent on you alone. Now, I think it's important if you need consultation or if you need help or guidance that you find someone that is genuine, that is truthful, that is honest, that really wants to help you. And you can speak with them, during a season change, maybe once a year, but not to be so desperate that I need a word. I need to find out about this, right now, every week, every month. And you're, getting people that are in your inbox saying they have messages for you.
It's interesting because I had a client tell me that you know what, Lloyd, what you should do is tell them every month they got to come back and see you. I'm
Oh,
not
mm-mm.
looking.
No,
I'm not caught up in the dollar. I mean,
no.
I like to have as much money, but no, no, no.
Yeah.
When you come to me, that's when you
Yes.
need to see me.
That's right, that's
You
right.
see what I'm
It's
saying?
like it's like the medical profession, right? The doctors that you have to see them all the time. It's like, "I'm coming to you to be healed, but obviously you're not healing me," right? So in our work, we want people to be healed. We want people to, get this information. So no, I don't wanna see people. People ask me, "Can I book another consultation next month?" I said, "No, I gave you work to do. Work on that work."
Yeah,
You
yeah, I'll
know?
say maybe come back in the fall as we begin
Right.
to experience the change of the upcoming year, but
Yes.
that will be about the only time, but I won't say,
Exactly.
"Listen, next week, and then week after next, you need to see me," and no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I don't do that, don't do
Right.
that. Melanie, thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
Say hi to those 3 beautiful young ladies,
I
and
will.
God bless them, and don't forget, please hold up, let me put a banner up because the user says, "Well, where was her, um" Cash App is right there at the bottom of the screen. It is dollar sign Melanie TSD, the spirit doula.
The
Thank you.
spirit to love,
Yeah,
yes.
spirit doula. I'll get that right. All right. Melanie, thank you so much. I enjoyed this. Okay.
Thank you. Have a
All
good
right.
night. Peace, everyone.
Yes. And everybody, I want to thank you very, very much for joining us. There is a new moon coming up this weekend, which means it's a good time. I'm not sure whether it's a solar eclipse or something like that, but I know there's a whole lot going on in the heavens right now. Anyway, so we got to have an astrologer or astrologers back on at some point over the summer. I want to have, I think it's going to be before the summer, I want to have these 4 tarot readers. That's going to be interesting. Some powerful sisters, boy. They got different ways of reading that should be very, very interesting. And I got some other things thanks to the countless people that bring these ideas to me. I mean, I wish I could take the credit for it, but you know, newsflash, people be bringing these ideas to me. At least I got enough sense to say, I'll take that. I'll take that. Everybody, y'all have a nice weekend. Take care until then.